finishes 12 points here at Shark Stadium?
Well, everyone probably going home wondering what they got out of that game. Nick Kutnjak, your thoughts, because Cronulla, they could have won that with one simple execution right at the death with a one-pointer, but it came to nothing.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I think both sides will go, look, it doesn't really matter too much in regards to the regular season, but it's about blowing the cobwebs. And I suppose you'd rather make mistakes in games like this than in round 14 of the season. May I remind everybody, 2023, the Sean Johnson game here, like the Sharks will be going, at least it was this game, pre-season, not a regular season match. So I suppose there'll be a lot of lessons learnt from tonight. We'll get some interviews shortly, so we'll make sure we'll get ours shortly as well.
Jason Costigan here at Shark Park as we wrap up proceedings here on the opening night of the Witzer Pre-Season Challenge of 2025. Our first look at Clubland, if you like, before the party comes to Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, round one. And two of the teams that are playing in Vegas we have seen go round here tonight in Sydney's southern suburbs. The Cronulla Sharks hosting the New Zealand Warriors, and it finished up 12 all at full time. 12 all on the Wendy's scoreboard. Wendy's, we do it fresh. And, well, a lot of cobwebs being blown away tonight. Cronulla Sutherland with plenty of big-name players missing, of course, headed by Nico Hines, the former Dahlia medal winner. Let's just recap the scorers. Of course, the tries proudly brought to you by Toby's Carvery, and there weren't too many of them, two each in fact for Cronulla Sutherland. An early try, in fact in the second minute, to the big fella from Goulburn in the southern tablelands of New South Wales. He's a cult hero here, Tom Hazelton, scoring in that second minute of the match. And then 6 minutes from full time, Hohepa Puru scoring on a great night for his family, playing alongside his brother in Cronulla colours, his brother Nephi, for the very first time. And conversions, well, one each to Daniel Atkinson, and it was Mawene Hiroti who converted the Puru try at the back end of the game. It was 6 all at half-time, and for the Warriors, a try to Chance Nickel-Klookster midway through the opening stanza, and Tane Tuapiki in the 52nd minute, and Metcalf kicking 2 from 2 in the 22nd and 53rd minute. 6 apiece at the break, 12 all at full time on the Wendy's scoreboard. Wendy's, we do it fresh. Mat Meers, what was the big takeaway from you? The fact that, well, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, that'll be the big talking point here tonight. One of the club's big name players, experienced campaigners with a hand injury, an early casualty. There'll be big concern for him. We can't sugarcoat that.
No, we certainly can't. And obviously with that big round one in Las Vegas only a couple of weeks away, they'll be sweating on his availability for that. But as I said, I think a lot of this game is what we're kind of used to seeing in these first games, first time out. A lot of combinations being tried, as you said, during the broadcast, as well as some people maybe getting rewarded for some good off-season training, but not being able to take that next step up to this level. As I said, our good friend in Cody on the wing, he probably had the game to forget.
Eddie Corsi,
my apologies. Yeah, he certainly had a game to forget. But as I said, I think some bright sparks as well.
Well, one bright spark, not so bright spark, I beg your pardon, Chance Nickel-Klookster. A question mark over what happened to him with injury. Obviously, this is a concern. Early days, probably still being assessed as we speak. But Andrew Webster, not a lot for him to smile about when you've got big-name players like Nickel-Klookster and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, casualties of this first-up trial. We might go sideline down to Nick Kutnjak with one of the heroes from this pre-season season opener.
Yeah, Bunty Afoa joined us. Bunty, talk us through that 80 minutes.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to blow the cobwebs out there. That first 40 was a bit tough, a lot of errors, and especially with the new rule of the play the ball, you gotta stay, pay attention to the details of that stuff because they'll bite you in the butt. We had a lot of penalties and a lot of drop balls, and we were hurting over there, but the boys look fit out there.
Yeah, they were talking about that during the off-season. That's something they're going to crack down. I suppose you're happy in some regards that it's during a pre-season game that you can learn this and not bringing this in round 5 or round 6 of the competition.
Yeah, that's what pre-season's for, pre-season games, You get your combos, you blow all the cobwebs out, get all those little errors out of the game, and then once you hit round 1, everyone will be in good shape to go, so yeah.
Obviously, you guys head to Las Vegas in a few weeks. For yourself, do you think it's good to play at a ground like Shark Park where it was hot during the opening stages of the game, because you're going to be playing basically in the desert in a few weeks and it's going to be a different climate?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock with the lungs. I think everyone felt it, both sides, the speed of the game, and especially with the rules of the play the ball. You do back-to-back tackles and then you get a penalty when you get the ball, so just got to pay attention to those little details in the game under fatigue, and
Disappointing in a lot of regards to lose Dallin so early in the game. Hopefully he's okay to play in the next few weeks, because he would be a massive loss, wouldn't he?
Yes, be recovered to Dal. That's part of the game. Those are the things you can't control, but what you can control is your recovery, and I wish Dal all the best in his recovery, but that another young boy can step up, and there's opportunity there for a wing spot. So yeah.
Do you like the fact pre-season games is a situation like this where you get to go off and on every 10 to 15 minutes? Do you want to see that back in the NRL, the old unlimited interchange?
Yeah, for the big boys, we'll all be happy. It is tough out there. The game is getting faster, and a lot of the boys are trimming a lot of weight. So now it'll be good just to add a couple more subs in there. So it's all good.
Good luck for the season ahead.
Cheers, thank you.
There he is, Bunty Afoa, creating a little bit of history. Our first NRL player being interviewed post-match. Not quite an NRL premiership match, of course, but our first ever full-time interviewee, as Steve Mascord quite rightly points out on X. Don't forget you can follow us on the social media platforms of your preference. X, Instagram, Facebook, rugbyleague.com. But interesting summation of proceedings there, and that next man up attitude, Mearsy, in terms of injuries to players like DWZ.
Well, it's certainly a 30-man squad game now, isn't it? It's not your 17, it's not your 21 that you name, it's all 30 have to contribute.
Let's go sideline again, and Nick Kutnjak this time is with a cult hero, in this country, and especially where we have the big merino. You better ask him about the big merino, because I came through Goulburn today to call this game. Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, first let's go through that try, Tommy Hazelton, because in the first couple of minutes, just seeing you just steaming through, that was great to watch.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Bez. Like most of my tries, I think it's me in the right spot and a lot of other people doing the hard work. But like I said, it's always good to get a try, no matter who it is, especially in the forwards. But yeah, I thought it was a really good start to the year for the boys. There was a lot of young guys in our squad that worked really hard over the summer and deserved their opportunity tonight. So it was good to see them go out and perform well.
It's a great learning experience, especially what you do in the back of the game, because you guys had the chance to clinch the victory. You didn't, but I suppose you guys are going, okay, we didn't do it what we wanted to do in this situation, but we know in the future we can do it better during the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. There'll be a lot of learnings that we'll take out of tonight, obviously that being one of them. But, I was really proud of how our guys played tonight. Obviously, they're a really good side, and we didn't have a great deal of experience in our team, but I thought some of the young guys that come in, especially a few of the younger middles, really held their own tonight, and they're going to be in for big years no matter where they play.
For yourself, heading into a game like this and the season as well, you think you're doing enough to get that flight to Las Vegas in a few weeks?
Just had to worry about getting through these first trial games first. Obviously, whatever happens after the back of that, we'll see. But, I'm feeling good. Training's been good, and I'm just going to try to do everything I can to get myself in the 17 come round one.
Yeah, you've had an opportunity to play with some of these younger guys in the past, but Jaden Beryl, there is something about him. I've seen him a lot in New South Wales Cup. I saw him in the grand final last year. He just offers so much from acting half, and it seems like it will be a great transition when he does make him to the NRL side full time. He played a few games last year, but we can see what he's got.
Yeah, he's a really good story of perseverance, Bez. He's been at it for a lot of years, and we all love him here. We love what he brings to our team. He's tough, he works hard, and leaves nothing in the tank. So it's really good to see him get a bit of experience in the NRL last year, and we know as a club and a squad that whenever we need someone, we can call on him and rely on him.
Bunty Afoa mentioned it before to us in regards to the play the ball. You guys got to be very wary about that this year, about making sure your foot's on it.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the first few rounds will be policed pretty hard, I'd imagine, with the new rules that come in, but it's in the rules anyway. It's been in the rules forever, so we'll learn from it, and it's going to happen. We're going to screw one up, so it's just about getting on with the next job.
I know it's probably way before your time, but maybe we should bring back raking at the play of the ball. Maybe we should bring back the old school.
Yeah, you never know. A few years' time, it could be back. We'll see.
And have one marker. Good luck for the season, and hopefully you're there in Vegas in a few weeks.
Perfect. Thanks, mate.
There he is, Tom Hazelton, who he's just a great news story, isn't he? Not a good news story, a great news story about a bloke that he's a no-frills player, Mearsy, but talk about a toiler. He puts his hand up day in, day out, whether it's a pre-season game or a grand final.
Well, and they're just as valuable as your $1 million players, aren't they? You need to fill out your squad with these guys that they have the least amount of between their best game and their worst. And he's certainly one of those where it's just that tiny a gap between his best and worst, and he turns up every day for the jersey.
2 mils thick, I reckon. 2 mils.
I 100%. And as I said, a great toiler for the Sharks, and they'd be crazy not to have him on that plane to Vegas.
Nick Kutnjak has been very busy on the sideline post-match, catching up with, firstly, Bunty Afoa, creating a little bit of history in joining us as our first interviewee in NRL land. Remembering, of course, this is the Witzer pre-season challenge. We'll do it all again tomorrow night, local time, at this very same venue. Shark Park hosting the match tomorrow between the Panthers and the Canberra Raiders. And of course, those two teams and the two teams that we've called here tonight, all going on the plane to Vegas for the second instalment of that great experiment in North America. With some interesting stats, something like 35,000 tickets sold, and more than 25% of them have been bought by Americans. And I wonder, interestingly, Bunty Afoa, I'm sure there's plenty of people of Pacific Island origin who've got their tickets to Allegiant Stadium to get there. If they missed out last year, they're not going to miss out this year. And it's a healthy sign for rugby league. And the fact that they're spreading the love, Peter V'landys is spreading the love with clubs going and others taking their place. And this year it'll be the Cronulla Sharks, the Warriors, and of course the Panthers and the Raiders.
Yeah, it's certainly, I think, going to be a tradition that a lot of clubs will be looking forward to being a part of. As I said, history, to be able to play in a stadium like that, obviously in a city like Las Vegas, it's certainly that first step in obviously wanting to grow the game and growing in the game in an area like the United States, where he said a lot of the expats from the Pacific Islanders and a lot of people that will be interested in the product. He said you see some of the Americans and they go crazy for it.
Let's go sideline once more and go down to Nick Kutnjak, and he's standing by with one of the Warriors players, and he goes by the name of Dylan Walker. Nick, over to you.
Dylan, what do you make about the first 80 minutes of the season?
Yeah, I think we had lots of errors. They played the ball one, the refs picked it up real quick. So something to work on. I think it's there was lots of errors tonight. The ball was sweaty. Controlling the ball was hard, but got what we needed out of it, to be honest. It's just we had a lot of resilience, but just trying to build our game, I guess, and then coming into round one over in Vegas. So we're going to take a lot of learnings out of it. Lots of things to work on, but we'll fix them up.
So in short, you're pretty much saying there was more questions than answers?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say there's more questions. I think when you don't control the ball, you sort of put on the back foot, and then you have to play from the back foot, and it's not hard. It's just trying to put sets together, build pressure, get to the corners, kick chase, and a bit of hard work. But it was very stop-start. There was lots of errors, and every time we got it, got the ball down in there, and we gave up one of the play the balls or an error. So something to work on.
I suppose it doesn't help when you have about 15 players on the bench as well. So you're going off and on. It doesn't quite work, does it? And you can't really get into a rhythm.
Yeah, I think it's he wanted that way. He wanted a few boys, get some opportunity, get an opportunity, and I thought it was a good hit out. There's I think we were just all sick and tired of tackling each other at training. Coming out here, spending the weekend back here in Oz, it'd be pretty good. So,
Chan's all good.
Yeah, Chan's always looks good. He just works hard. You got to try tonight. So, I don't know. It was a good game. Good hit out.
Well, hopefully you're there in a few weeks at Las Vegas around, because I'd love to see you playing there at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll be there, mate.
Good luck.
There he is, Dylan Walker, former Kangaroo, former State of Origin player.
Got to try tonight, so Yeah, I don't know. It was a good game. Good to hear that.
Well, hopefully you're there in a few weeks at Las Vegas around, because I'd love to see you playing there at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll be there, mate.
Good luck.
There he is, Dylan Walker, former Kangaroo, former State of Origin player for New South Wales. Played in the All-Stars, NRL All-Stars, Māori All-Stars. Let's go sideline again. Geez, he's busy now. He's earning his keep. And one of the, up-and-comers for the Cronulla Sharks, Hohepa Puru. I tell you what, Nick, you might want to check the pronunciation and apologise on my behalf. Take it away.
Yeah, first of all, I want to make sure I get it right. Is it Hohepa? Because I've been saying that over the last couple of years. I don't know if I've been right or wrong.
Hohepa.
Hohepa.
Yeah, Hohepa.
Okay, so we're going to make sure that's right throughout the 2025 season. But for yourself, you got a try in the new colours, the Sharks colours. How are you feeling?
Definitely very happy. You can tell by my celebration that I'm over the moon, because I wanted to put my best foot forward tonight for the club. You know, it's a daunting but yet exciting day for me in new colours. I want to impress Fitz here. I want to play good for my teammates, and I'm pretty proud of my effort today.
Yeah, and I suppose what leaves you in a good stead is being at the Panthers, such a professional organisation, and it feels like yourself and your brother have taken that to the Sharks system.
100%. You know, from a young age at Panthers, they've got an unreal system. We've built good habits, and anywhere we go, we're going to take those habits with us and develop and build on them. And from the 20s grand final, when we last played with Panthers, I got scouted to Raiders, and they fight the Sharks. We took everything we could from there and make it our own at another club.
Okay, so in relation to the game tonight, the last 5 minutes you came back, and it was good, the comeback, but it didn't feel like you guys had the right option at the end. I suppose some would say it was going to be probably a more conservative option, just go for the field goal and just make sure you get it, but you're trying to go for the try. Is it, I suppose, for the club looking to build in regards to not worrying about going for the 1 point, and we can score tries and we've got the players to do it?
Our plan tonight was to play the footy we wanted. We didn't really care about the result. If we were a connected team tonight and we felt connected when we come off the field, then we've done our job tonight. The result would have looked after itself. We missed our opportunity there, but doesn't mean we didn't get what we got out of what we wanted out of today's game.
It's interesting you said that, because for you guys, it's all about improvement, and the Sharks have always been spoken about there or thereabouts in the last couple of years. Why will it be different this year? Why will the Sharks be entrenched in that top 8, potentially the top 4?
They've got a good foundation. You know, got a lot of older players, good leaders, and then younger boys like myself coming through the ranks. We've got good people to aspire to. You know, they've set the platform. They've got a good standard for us to meet. And hopefully we can raise that level this year through, you know, all our efforts, making all these 1%ers. Hopefully we can add a tiny bit to the team so that we can contribute to the back end of the season and make it one more game to the grand final.
Since you joined the club during the off-season, who's the senior player that's almost taking under the wing, but also the one that has been the guidance for you?
For me personally, I don't really talk to him as much. I just watch him from a distance. Cam. You know, he's a leader with his words, but he's full on. He's all action. He leads with his actions. From a distance, I just watch his movements. I try to mimic them. And if I can do anything he does, then I know I'm in a good place.
It's one of those situations where you join into your club about where you're going to sit during the year, and well, there's probably potential you'll play New South Wales Cup in the early stages of the year. But what's your major goal this year? Is it to make sure you're entrenched in the starting 17 by the end of the year, or is it just going, okay, let's see if I can make my foot, or put the right foot forward for next year or the years to come?
100%. My goal this year is to start the year well, play good footy. Obviously a goal of making my debut for the Sharks. Then once I've got my foot in the door, I want to stay in that team.
We're getting the wind up. Good luck for the season ahead.
Thanks, mate.
There he is. Good on him too. Hohepa Puru. I'll say it again. Hohepa Puru. And apologies to his family for getting that wrong. He was born in Blacktown, in working class Blacktown in the western suburbs of Sydney. Proud of his Indigenous Australian and Cook Island Māori heritage. Captain of the Penrith Jersey Flegg grand final winning team back in 2022. And between then and now, a couple of games in the top grade for the Canberra Raiders, but seemingly surplus to requirements. But I dare say, Mearsy, a handy pickup for Craig Fitzgibbon and the Cronulla Sharks.
Oh, very much so from what we saw tonight. Yeah, as Nick said, might be starting in New South Wales Cup, but I'm sure they'll be taking a punt on him at some point throughout these round games throughout the season. But one thing I did like hearing about is that when Nick asked him about who he looked up to, who was his sort of quote-unquote mentor, and someone like Cam McInnes, I don't think he can go anything wrong wanting to aspire to be a player like that.
Well, he's the club captain.
Yeah, 100%. And he leads, as you said, he leads by his actions. It doesn't have to be...
Well, not by his good looks.
Mate, there's a few of us like that. But
I'm no oil painting, but he'd be the first to acknowledge that. But great player, Cam McInnes, and a great gladiator in today's game. So a great role model, as you say.
100%. And as I said, if you get more guys like that, looking up to guys like that, it's only going to be a good thing for rugby league as a whole.
Nick Kutnjak has just got back into the box.
Superman.
I was going
I
to
feel
say,
rusty doing the sideline. I haven't done it for a long time.
Is this Clark Kent or Nick Kutnjak?
Mate, it's amazing trying to get players in. It was good that they stayed back and speak to some of the younger players. That was the aim, obviously. You can always speak to the ones we speak to every week, but I thought, let's get a Tom Hazelton and Hohepa Puru because they're two talents of the future, and they spoke so well, and it's good to get their thoughts. And wasn't it interesting about Dylan Walker, what he said about the Warriors, and said there's a lot of things we need to work on? And then when I asked him the question, is there more questions than answers? He's going, well, that's not exactly right. So it'll be interesting what they do next week and the weeks to come, because the Warriors, it's a tough couple of weeks ahead, especially going to Las Vegas. And I think the second year situation, we're going to find out if really these teams that go to Vegas, when I say need-capped, in terms of do they lose a leg for the remainder of the season? We saw that last year with a lot of the teams. Is that going to be the case this year? And I think almost the team we look at is the Penrith Panthers and where they sit by the end of the season with this. Very intriguing what happens with Las Vegas and how the teams come back. Last year was difficult, but let's see how it is this year.
Well, just to remind everybody as well, and we'll come to Vegas too, we've got a bit of a opportunity here in our post-game show, if you like, to chew the fat on some of the issues and things that have come out of this games, the so-called stuff to unpack. But Vegas, 4 teams are playing, 2 games. That's in the NRL. No disrespect to Wigan and Warrington and the Jillaroos and the Lionesses.
Yep.
But no one in the NRL plays that weekend.
Correct. So you have a week off when you get back.
So round 1 is stretched over 2 weeks, or 2 weekends, if you like.
The old split
which that's how it has to be.
It has to be. But the thing is, what happens week 2? It's all well and good for one of the teams to get the bye week 2. They're lucky to get the bye in week 2.
Well, this comes back to the anomalies of the draw. And I keep pointing the finger for all his genius.
Interesting. So Melbourne's got the bye week 2.
Melbourne have the bye week 2.
I don't like that. I know that.
Well, if you're Craig Bellamy, he probably would say stuff that we couldn't put on air.
Yeah, so Sharks play. The Sharks play Cowboys. So
the Sharks play Cowboys Saturday night. And Raiders also play the Broncos Saturday night.
So they're playing non-Vegas teams, because last year I think they tried to play the opposition team from Vegas in round 2. So that's intriguing. The Warriors play a home game against Manly though. So this will be a real test now to see if it actually works. Because I would have thought you would have made sure that week 2 we see what we saw in the preseason. Basically, the Warriors will play the Sharks and the Panthers play the Raiders, something like that. I thought that would have been the way they would have went, but not the case.
We could talk about the anomalies in the draw till the cows come home. But the game doesn't even give itself a chance to have some equity or fairness, if you can put it that way, when you have an odd number of teams. And make a decision to say we want an odd number of teams. They've conscientiously said this is our policy.
Well,
they don't like that accusation. The suits don't like that. But I'll say this to you blokes. It would have never happened under Ken Arthurson and John Quayle.
Here we go. Yeah,
I'll just bring 4 teams in at once.
Until the Western Reds.
No one likes the bye, and you know it.
Yeah, no. I agree, but the only thing I'll say, tell the Western Reds that were told, you need to have a commercial flight partner to pay for every round of flights, not just for you guys when you go back to Sydney, but also when the other teams come to Perth.
You're talking about the 90s?
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't understand that. Hopefully when the Reds come into the comp, or a Perth team come into the comp, they don't have that.
Just again, for the young ones out there, and for our international audience, when the Western Reds, which become the Perth Reds, the ill-fated Perth Reds, came into the competition, the deal was, the caveat, if that's the right word, was you need to pay for everything. And by the way, that includes
the Warriors,
the second grade teams, the whole lot. Back, forth across the Nullarbor. And since then, we've seen the AFL nationalised. Well, in fact, the AFL has been nationalised for a long time. Let's not kid ourselves.
1987.
And I don't want to get bogged down on the expansion issue here, but PNG's coming into the competition. We haven't touched on this in our first get-together for 2025.
We spoke about it last year.
Yeah, we did. We predicted, we speculated what might happen, and they've got a green light since then, haven't they? And not everyone likes the idea. I'll tell you what, on rugbyleague.com news, and through the efforts of Steve Mascord when he was doing the tour of the North with the season media launches in Super League, Liam Horn, the Castleford player in Papua New Guinea International, he was asked the question by our good friend Steve Mascord, and Horn said players or prospective players going to put dangerous cities on the planet, players in terms of public safety have nothing to fear.
It's going to be very intriguing.
I know I've jumped around a bit there, but that's coming. That team is coming in.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean Perth or a second team from New Zealand along the way ain't going to get a green light. In fact, if you said to me, and my crystal ball's been known to crack over the years, right?
Yep.
I would all be surprised. In fact, I'd expect between when we see the PNG team take the field, we'll see a green light for teams 19 and 20.
Which we need to.
Before that game is played. So, and if you said to me to pinpoint where it is, so we get to 20 teams, and I'll say this to the young ones as well, with due respect, so we go back to 20 teams, because we had 20, we'll see that green light, and I think it'll come out of Perth, and interestingly we see a new consortium coming out of Auckland today in the last 24 hours that's come to life, and Fred Arcoy, the Kiwi legend, is behind that, and what an iconic player he was for the Kiwis many moons ago, and tapping into that Māori and Pacifica base, but they don't have a mortgage on that. Whether I don't know which consortium's going to get the green light, but I'll tell you this: I spent a decade in New Zealand, as you know, calling the footy there. They will get a second team.
Yep,
they will get a second team, and I don't believe it'll come out of Auckland.
No, well, you've got the Christchurch consortium. Graham Lowe, obviously, everybody knows his history with New Zealand.
Well, it's the Kia and the Orcas going head to head, basically, isn't it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and they said they're looking at new infrastructure in Christchurch. They want to build that new stadium, which would be perfect for them to play out of. So yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I think the whole stadium, the new stadium thing, has got great appeal, and don't forget, ask the Warriors what do they think of it. Now, I'll go back into my crystal ball, which again has been known to crack. I think the Warriors will be asked to rebrand and go back to the future, and they'll be called again. And Nick knows where I'm going with this, because I can see him pointing the finger. They will become known as the Auckland Warriors.
Well, can we just break something down? Everybody keeps on saying the New Zealand Warriors.
Well, they became that in 2001 when Tainui sold the licence, if you like. The team nearly went under. We nearly didn't have the Warriors, and I nearly never had the chance to spend a decade, as it turned out, in that part of the world calling the game that we all love. But they will go back to the Auckland Warriors, in my opinion, once it crystallises about the second team coming out of New Zealand. In terms of branding and rebranding, whether Cameron George, the CEO, and the club accepts that concept or that argument, I don't know, but I bet you they'll go down that path and they'll be rebranded as the Auckland Warriors.
Technically, they're not the New Zealand Warriors. Everybody keeps on saying the New Zealand Warriors. They're the Warriors. They actually don't have a monarchy.
Well, I remember once upon a time I worked for a club called the Bulldogs.
Yep.
They got rid of the whole CB concept. Yep. What Canterbury Bankstown?
Yep.
Remember
exactly.
that? Remember that?
I remember it was after the Sydney Bulldogs.
And they had that's right. It was post Sydney Bulldogs. They just become the Bulldogs.
Yep.
And they had the concept of going out to Liverpool with the Stardome project.
Yep. That went belly up. But PNG, just want to go at the one point I've mentioned a few times about PNG. I don't want to get completely political, but we're going to have potentially two Australian elections, because Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has put this forward that we're going to have support. There's going to be no tax for the players that come from Australia, all this stuff. But we've got two elections. So what happens when the Liberal come in, if they do come in? What do they change?
Well,
so it's a lot of caveats in this. And when I say there's two elections, potentially before they kick the ball, we might have an election a month or two before they play in the 2028 season or 27 season?
I don't think... Look, this is a rugby league show, not a political show, but I will say this. The PNG team coming into the comp, which is now a fait accompli, because the NRL, it's been announced.
Yep.
It's been announced by Peter V'landys, and it's been announced by not one but two prime ministers. Papua New Guinea is Australia's nearest neighbour, and in September this year, the country will celebrate 50 years since independence. They are not going to take the toys off the little kid, especially the little kid that grows up very different to us in a very privileged world, in a first world economy. I don't think anyone, if you like, who goes into the lodge is going to take the toys away, Nick.
Yeah.
What do you think, Matt?
I agree. I think
it's above politics, and there might be some argy-bargy, but
yeah,
I think Volandis has good reason to be bullish about PNG coming into the competition no matter what happens politically.
I 100% agree. As I said, I don't think this is something that it's going to be tit for tat. One party brought it in, so the other party is going to flick it to the curbside. We're not talking about a tunnel to the northern beaches or anything here.
I wonder who that would be.
Where do you live?
Listen, last time we worked together,
yes,
there was speculation.
Oh, no.
There was speculation that you came to the game in your own yacht.
Well, how do you think I got here today?
Well,
the water's just over there.
I hadn't even thought of that. You've got,
at least it wasn't with the coverage this
when
time. We'll wait till the post.
So when I kept talking about Botany Bay, that's why your ears pricked.
I was hoping that we won't be going back there after we wrap up here. But
it's for the benefit of those people not familiar with this place. It's dead set just to walk over there behind that hill.
Yeah, it is. We're very close to the bay here. We're very privileged here in the Shire.
So it's not quite the Royal Yacht Britannica.
No, but
it's good enough for you.
Royal Britannica.
So
it's better than Friday afternoon peak hour traffic, which is the way I really did get here. As I said,
you put your cards on the table. That's good to hear.
But yeah, as I said, it is certainly something that I don't think it's going to be a tit for tat. We say yes, we say no. Once it gets the go ahead, there'll be too much behind it to be able to, as you said, pull it off the table at that sort of point. Maybe some of the conditions might change. It might go from zero tax to another percentage or something like that.
Well, you need to be taxed, surely.
Obviously they want to give them that reason and that opportunity to sign over other clubs.
Can I say this?
Is that the right one?
Can I say this? In the AFL, when they brought in new teams, and Rugby League hasn't done this to the best of my knowledge, and I'm happy for either of you to pick me up on this. The league, no matter whether it was Volandis, Todd Greenberg, Ken Arthurson or Kermit the Frog, whoever was running the game, they've never said, we'll give your club concessions as a new team, which is what they've done in the AFL with the draft. We don't have that in Rugby League, the draft, and other incentives for new clubs to become competitive from the get-go. Because not every club, as you blokes know, is like the Melbourne Storm.
But the last two clubs that have come in, realistically the last three clubs in the NRL that come in.
Which are?
Melbourne Storm, that's the third to last.
Unbelievable
what they've been
story.
able to do.
But
they had their pick of the bunch.
Exception to the rule.
Yep. Gold Coast were very good early on. So
Which Gold Coast team?
I'm talking about the Gold Coast Titans. When they came back in, they had a good couple of years. Remember, they made the finals in 09 and 10. They should have. They were close to making the grand final. They lost to the Roosters.
Is this with John Cartwright?
Yes. So,
as heard on rugbyleague.com with Steve Maskell.
And then the other one, the Dolphins. Yes, they haven't made grand finals or finals yet, but the first 2 years, success. They were a day away from making the finals last year. So I think there is some success. Let's give the Dolphins credit. Let's give the Titans credit. Obviously, the Storm was an entity in itself. They picked up half the good players from the Hunter Mariners. So,
three teams that were on the scratching post, and then they were able to cherry pick who they wanted out of it.
We should point out this whole concept about PNG, and they have got a green light. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not pretend that this didn't happen. There was an announcement before Christmas involving the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, James Marape, his Australian counterpart, Anthony Albanese, and Peter Volandis, and they've got the green light. And they've got 600 million Australian dollars, not all going into the NRL team. We should point out, again, for the benefit of our international audience, some of the fairy dust, as I call it, is going to places like Fiji and Samoa. Fiji and Rugby League's only 32 years old. A lot of people forget this. You know, it was only because of the current Prime Minister, back in those days, Colonel Rambuka, who basically gave his blessing to this breakaway movement and starting Rugby League there. I think Rugby League in the Pacific's going gangbusters.
Yep.
And it's not coming just out of the NRL coffers. Government policy is driving that agenda. and rugby league is the beneficiary here. We shouldn't lose sight of this. And I'll say this: we talk about Perth and maybe a team from Christchurch, and obviously Papua New Guinea coming into the competition, which means 3 countries playing in the NRL. And you look at the Northern Hemisphere equivalent and what's happening with Super League. Still based on that M62 corridor.
Yep.
With the south of France bolted on. And of course, the Super League season kicking off next Thursday night, or this coming Thursday night, and that big derby between Wigan and Leigh Leopards, as Wigan look to make it 3 titles on the trot. But interesting days and an interesting comparison, because remember, fellas, we only heard, a week or so ago that the streamers, the likes of Netflix and Amazon, supposedly, if we believe the spin doctors,
yes,
are queuing up for a slice of rugby league, and the NRL than ever before. And I think, and what concerns me, is the widening gulf between the 2 professional competitions, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. I don't think that's a good thing, that geographically and commercially the NRL is going from a juggernaut to a super juggernaut, if such a thing exists, to what we have with Super League.
And we don't have, remember the late 90s New Zealand, certain brothers that we all loved seeing. They played in the Super League, the Pauls.
Oh, well,
right?
I work with one at Bradford, and Robbie, and saw Robbie only 14 months ago at a Bradford Bulls reunion, and straight away, Nick, I'm sorry to cut you off, but my mind went straight back to the glory days at Bradford when the place was rocking, and it was the hottest ticket in town, and my boss, the now late, my mind's just skipped a beat there.
It's been a long day.
Well, it's been a very long day. Lost the plot there for a moment.
But my point that I was going to say is we had how many Super League players make that New Zealand starting 13, not just the 17, the starting 13 for the Kiwis back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now, you wouldn't see any of those Super League players make it.
Because, Nick, we're shipping out Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup
Correct.
players. And the person I was referring to, with great respect, my dear friend, the late Peter Deacon. But the place was rocking. Yes, we had teams from Paris and London. And it pains me to see how there's this widening gulf between the premier competition in the Northern Hemisphere and the NRL, which is going gangbusters. I'm pleased to see that Wigan and Warrington are playing in Vegas. I did question it initially, but I suppose I've warmed to the idea. And when I see Brian Carney going crazy in Manchester, I think now I know why. Now I know why it's a good thing to get the Brits involved.
But isn't there I saw the talk in the last week or two with the Broncos wanting to buy London back.
Yeah.
That would be
Well, the Broncos poured cold water on that. We ran that story I think it was the Sun newspaper in the UK.
Week, wasn't it?
A week and a half ago maybe, but the Sun newspaper, if memory serves me right, they broke the story. And then the others, like sheep, and that's how the media works. We all know it, right? And then the Broncos came out. Carl Morris basically, he almost laughed about it. He's the chairman of the Brisbane Broncos. And don't forget, this is the Brisbane Broncos that once did own the London Broncos.
Yes, it's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I can remember going for a job interview at the London Broncos. Just a quick story.
Yep.
And I came down from Yorkshire off the train, and I thought, I've got this job. It's going good. And the interview was going really well with the boss, and you'll know him, Tony Ray.
Oh, yeah.
So Tony Ray, he said, well, mate, thanks for coming down. And I was very confident. He said, look, the problem with you is that you're an Aussie. We've got too many of them here. and this was the issue. This was, look what happened with Paris, stacked with Aussies and Kiwis, players that were getting in and out of the country with questionable paperwork and whatnot. This is the whole thing. The rugby league needs to get its house in order for the game to grow, and I think we all would agree 100%. With that script. And that's why, with Volandis, most things he's touched so far, and I say most, has turned to gold.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's just his nature. It said he's not used to hearing no for an answer, and maybe that's something that approach needs to be taken at a more global standpoint, because as I said, obviously rugby league sort of doesn't have quite the stature that it does here in the UK, and I said English Premier League is obviously, the football is obviously numero uno. They're playing in the summer, but you've still got cricket, etc., that are going to be dominating some of the headlines. But as I said, maybe a bullish approach is needed. Maybe it does need to have some teams that are brought in, as to say, bring London back and really try and nationalise the game, get it away from that M62 corridor, as you said.
No doubt about it. Well, if the game is to grow, and that's what needs to happen, and the speculation doesn't go away, does it, Nick?
Correct.
That the NRL could possibly take over Super League, and that's not such a bad thing for our game.
It's a good thing, but what's going to... I hate to say it, but the Super League will end up being a development league.
Well,
that's not a bad thing.
Well,
it is already, but it'll be officially a... And as I said, it's not a bad thing, and it probably is needed, but do you rebrand it from Super League to NRL Europe?
Well, there's all sorts of theories doing the rounds there, and that's one of them. And we could talk about this at length, but we'll need to bring a wrap to proceedings, or bring a halt to proceedings here. And look, I'll tell you what, it's been good fun for a first game after some Christmas pudding. No, I'm not looking at you.
Which one?
I was looking at myself. Yes, well, maybe I should have walked here. It would have taken me about a month. But look, no, it's been good fun. And I'll tell you what, it wouldn't have happened without a number of people, and I'm probably going to leave a couple of people out here, but our thanks to Ben Champion and Terry Fock at the NRL.
Yep.
All's fair in love and war, but in terms of their professionalism and facilitating us being here and gaining the broadcasting rights to be here to call the Witzer Pre-Season Challenge, our thanks to Ben Champion and Terry Fock. Also to our good friends and colleagues, Steve Mascord and Paul Fairs in the UK. A big shout out to the boys for their faith in us and what we're trying to do here, and entertain and bring entertainment to you in the form of this pre-season challenge. Quite an historic night for us, of course, for people listening live. Very much an historic night, this match between Cronulla Sutherland and the New Zealand Warriors, which, let's not forget, finished up as a draw. So the points are split, so to speak. What, six points
all,
each?
Yeah.
6 points each. Is that right?
6 points each with the unique point system that we're seeing in the pre-season challenge this year.
With the appropriate bonus points whacked on. I haven't got those stats there, but
bring back the draw regular season.
Oh well, that's for another show.
Definitely, we need a few.
Yeah. But look, our thanks to you, the listener, for being part of history, because it is, as I say, a first for us, our first NRL game. And we just had a look at the live ladder, if you like, for the Witzer pre-season challenge. And on 6 points each, Cronulla Sutherland and the Warriors. So I'm not sure if that's... Well, I suspect that either they didn't get any bonus points or they haven't calculated it.
Yeah, I'd say not.
So I'll reserve my judgment.
We'll check it again.
Yeah. So stay tuned to rugbyleague.com for us to keep you informed of any changes there. And just a reminder that we'll be doing the game Saturday night local time here in Sydney tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff Sydney time. Check your clocks depending on what part of the world you're in. That's the match tomorrow night between the four-time defending premiers. It's quite amazing when you say that, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
They won 4 NRL grand finals in the salary cap era. Penrith Panthers, minus their stars. No one, as we understand, playing tomorrow night from the grand final last year, but Penrith playing the Raiders at this venue at Shark Park tomorrow night in Game 2 of the Witzer pre-season challenge. But Mat Meers and Nick Kutnjak, this has been a whole lot of fun, and I hope we get to do it again sooner than later. I know different people have different commitments, but big fella, Mearsy, what did you enjoy about tonight?
Oh, mate, just to get back in the box, mate, to be next to you, like to have grown up watching you call the Warriors and then to be sitting in the box next to you calling a Warriors game, I don't even think you could have told 6 months ago, me, that would be happening. So, mate, great to be back with you again after our one-off appearance last year at Combank Stadium. But, yeah, just great to see that Rugby League's back. Obviously, we've all been sort of waiting at the door, waiting for this time of year to hit since that final game at Combank. it's always been circled on the calendar. First time for rugby league for the season, and just the hit out to be with the boys here. Look forward to hopefully seeing you again sometime down the road.
Well, it was a difficult night too, let's not forget, and not one to whinge, but... well, we're a long way from Singatoka to Toka.
Yes.
And so I think we've done well with the door out the back wide open to try and keep us cool on a
the
rather...
industrial fan.
I was on the sideline, so...
Yeah, you had a beautiful breeze.
It was
Lovely
nice.
breeze.
It was great.
But Nick, thanks to you as well. You did great down there, especially those post-match interviews and keeping us informed with the injuries to players like Dallin Watene-Zalesniak, and not an easy job. I've never done that sideline eye. If you want to take tips, ring Steve Mascord, but you did a great job.
One of the best.
And I know that we've had some good positive feedback about your efforts on the sideline. So I hope you enjoyed yourself, big fella.
Oh, look, I love doing rugby league. It's always great fun. And to do NRL trial matches, it's awesome for us. We regularly do New South Wales Cup. For us, this is almost a grand final. What we're doing, even though it's a trial match, it's grand final day for us.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And I did say, too, during the commentary I alluded to the fact that you're a very versatile broadcaster in your own right. And before we go... I'm not going to leave our listeners hanging.
Oh, no.
Is it true that in your commentary career you broadcast cockroach racing?
I will say not officially on a broadcast. At home when the two cockroaches go up on the wall, I've done that.
Don't you clean your house?
No, well...
What's going on there?
No, they're not my house, other people's. But
have you got rats?
No. But I will say... I've done camel races.
Have you? Well, I have been to camel races in Boulia, the home of the Min Min life.
Wow.
You should Google this.
Yeah, well, I will later when I get time.
But you did camel racing.
Yeah, I've done the camels.
Where was this?
I've done the Dapto Greyhound track.
So this is the famous Dapto dogs.
Yeah, and the Penrith Harness track as well. So I've done that.
You've done camel racing.
Yep, I've done the camels.
Now the listeners, I'm going to preempt what the listeners are going to ask. Yeah. Are these camels 2 humps or 1?
1 hump or 2. I've heard that so many times. I knew where you're going with it. 1 hump or 2. But I've done a lot of sport. Like I've called I reckon it's close to about 20-something sports.
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be all different things. And ice hockey was...
I've called an ice hockey game with you. Yeah.
That was challenging but good fun. I loved ice hockey.
So not quite Stanley Cup, but...
No, Macquarie Centre.
Yeah.
Macquarie Centre, the Sydney Bears. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've done that.
In the burbs, the suburbs of Sydney?
Yeah, I've done a lot of rugby league. Yeah,
cricket? We called it cricket.
Rugby union.
A week ago?
I've done a fair chunk, but rugby league is what I do nearly every year, past 15, 16 years.
Well, God willing, we'll do a lot more rugby league to come here on rugbyleague.com. Matt Meers and Nick Kutnjak, thanks so much for your mateship and your camaraderie and your input into our historic night here, calling the NRL, albeit pre-season at Shark Park.
And... We got us on air. I think a lot of people don't realise how hard it is. We're the techs. We're to techs in the callers. So, it is tough work, but at least it's better than the old days when the line drops out and you're calling the game and their try might be scored and you're recording the game from your end, so you're making sure you're calling the try as you're dialing the number for the studio when it goes out. The old days, and you hear the old in the background.
Unbelievable. Talk about the jack of all trades. Thank you so much, boys.
Yep, good fun.
Thanks to you, Costo.
Okay, on behalf of Matt Meers and Nick Kutnjak, and of course everyone who's been part of our team here behind the scenes, including Steve Mascord in the UK, I'm Jason Costigan, bidding you good night in this part of the world from Shark Park, where Cronulla have drawn 12-all with the Warriors in Game 1 of the Witzer Pre-Season Challenge of 2025. Time for us to say bye-bye. And for those people listening on the podcast, here's Steve Mascord at Olympic Legacy Park in the Steel City of Sheffield.
Thanks, Costo, and I won't keep the listeners much longer, but a quick roundup of Challenge Cup results here in the UK on Friday night. It was 60-0 Lee over Workington Town, 48-12 Wigan over Sheffield in the match I attended, 44-2 Hull KR against York. And let's just hear a little bit from Matty Peet. Ethan Havard injured in training. He's out of Las Vegas. And thanks everyone for listening to our first ever episode of Friday Forensic. And you can follow us on Twitter at rugbyleague.com, Instagram rugbyleague.com with dot spelled out, and on Facebook /rugbyleague.com.
I like the way we dealt with the fixture. thought Sheffield were committed to the way, and the pitch is unique, and we had to contend with that, and the kick-offs, etc. And I thought, yeah, we got the job done. No, fortunately we don't play on that surface. I wish we'd done better dealing with them, but I understand, and probably puts under a bit of defensive pressure, which won't do us any harm. All in all, we won't dwell on that game. Quite unique. Yeah, you'd like to think so. I thought our middle unit was good. To a man, really. Cruz Lehman, I thought, they're looking good shape.
Adam Kieran was good, particularly with the boot. That's
what was his record?
8 from 8, I think.
Good. That's what he was paid for, isn't it?
Well, you said so, yeah.
It's his job, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I like it. He works hard. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be very different to tonight, big crowd, and I think we'll both come in full enthusiasm, mutual respect. It's been super intense. I think the Borough's really going to come out in numbers. So much planned in around the game. I think it's going to be a fantastic start to the season. I'm comfortable with it. Yeah, I'm in control of what we do in practice and our fixtures and who plays what minutes. So yeah, I'll find out next week and we'll keep learning. Yeah, there's a lot to respect and admire about Sheffield. I thought the same last year. Very similar game, really. They stuck with us for large parts. The quality of them when they move the ball was there to see. They're obviously intelligent around how they play the field, and rightly so. It's their field, and they've got a smart half and good kicking game. So, they certainly tested us. Very committed. Yeah, everything that if you was a championship team coach, you'd want to see. I think Craig will be happy with. It's very difficult to prepare for a Super League game and know that you've nailed it, but now we're in decent shape and look forward to next week. Yeah, he certainly grew into the game, and he's had an excellent pre-season. I know he's really determined to have a big year, so yeah, I certainly thought he grew into it. Like I say, I think when we played direct and I just saw our big men rolling onto the ball, I thought that's when we looked at our best. Everyone knows we can play some decent stuff when we move the ball. I think with the speed of the ruck on that surface, when our big men were just flying over the line and cruising, Tom was jumping on the back of it, and that's when we had our most successful periods.
Any injuries tonight, mate?
No.
And who's coming back in? Jake's coming back in?
Well, there's Jake, Abbas, Ethan's definitely out for a while. He's pulled his hamstring in training. So Jake and Abbas will both be in contention. Yeah, it's in training. He was recovering from his AC, that's why he didn't play in those games. And then since the friendlies, gutted for him, he's pulled his hamstring in practice, he'd been training the ice down. And we await further consultation, is that what you call it? Opinion on how best to deal with it. It's going to be a few months at least. Well, a few months is not a time frame, it's a broad term, but it's going to be months rather than weeks.